Hey everyone, AngryHoneyBadger here, and it's time for us to take a look at another build video today. We're going to be playing as Evelynn in the jungle, because it's a thing people do. Also, because of current warding situations, she can kind of sneak around the map a little bit easier nowadays. So, yeah, we're going to be playing her today. We will be starting off over at the blue buff and picking that up. Then typically what I like to do is usually run over and take the wraiths, which I'm going to do. Because that's what we usually do. And then usually, you know, I'd go snag my red buff. Obviously, it take a little bit more damage as Evelynn. But I'm going to run straight in. Luckily, I did check my bush because Udyr was there. I'm going to get away, and I do ping it, but nobody from the lanes even reacts to it. So I'm going to lose my red buff early, so not a lot of ganking going to happen early because I'm going to be behind a little bit, which is unfortunate. But if the jungler starts pinging the jungle, probably it's because someone's in it and you should go run in, check. And worst case scenario, both your laners show up and they kill their jungler, get their buffs, and then their jungler is basically worthless for a while. So pay attention to your junglers in case they start pinging. Just help them out. That's all they want. It's just a little bit of help. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and play Evelynn, and we're going to go ahead and talk about her today. We'll be discussing items and abilities and runes, masteries, and a little bit of strategy and what we like to do, or what I like to do when I'm playing as Evelynn in the jungle. What we did at level 1, though, is we obviously started with the Hunter's Machete, and then since I was forced back, I just decided to pick up some boots for a little bit more mobility so I can get to buffs quicker, so I can clear those out because, like I said, not going to be having a lot of strong jungle presence for ganking early because no red buff, kind of helpful for ganking on Evelynn, at least early on. And so we're just going to concentrate on just getting some levels back as we get murdered by these golems. But let's go ahead and start off by talking about Eve's abilities, and that's what we'll do first. So let's go ahead and talk about all that stuff. Starting off with her passive. Now her passive is Shadow Walk. Evelynn stealths into the shadows, only being seen by enemy champions within a 700 range, or true sight. While stealth, she also regenerates 1% of her maximum mana every second. So once you cast a spell or you take damage, you will be revealed for at least 6 seconds, and then you can go back into it. But that's your passive, and that's why you're invisible running around. It's really nice about that mana regeneration. Whenever you're in between buffs, you go invisible, you just got some increased mana regen. So if you do lose out on a blue buff, it's not the actual end of the world because you do get some good mana regen. So that is very nice with her passive. Let alone stealth is not too bad. It's also good for kind of sneaking up on people. Obviously, they'll see you once you're within a certain, sight, but usually you can still kind of surprise them. So that's how that works. Then, at level 1, what we usually do is put a point into our Q ability, which is, of course, our Hate Spike. And Hate Spike instantly spikes the closest enemy unit, dealing ability power plus 0.5 bonus attack damage. It's going to all come across as magic damage, though, and 50% of the damage to a secondary target if it goes through and hits the thing behind it, or however, if it hits things. So that's your Hate Spike. We will be maxing this out first. That's where our damage is at. I just stole his red buff. He's going to try to steal my blue buff. I will show up. We are actually both level 6. I don't actually know how he's not ahead of me. He had a good early start. Going to use the ultimate. We're going to keep dealing damage to him. I am also pinging this. Luckily, Jaime is showing up, and bot lane is finally showing up. I did complain about it in chat, about how people weren't going to get ganks because I'm going to be so far behind since nobody reacted to the other one. So I'll pick up an assist there. They'll pick up a kill for Lucian. Very helpful. I didn't get the blue buff, but it's not the end of the world for Eve because luckily that regeneration while in stealth is pretty helpful. So don't have to worry about that as much. Now, continuing on with the abilities. We just covered Hate Spike. Now let's move on to what we put in just to our W. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Our W is our Dark Frenzy. Now, Dark Frenzy, what happens here is passively, when your spells hit enemy champions, it grants movement speed for 3 seconds. Actively, Evelynn removes all slows affecting her and ignores unit collision and gains a quick movement speed buff. Champion kills and assists also refresh the cooldown on this ability. And so that's pretty nice. We will max this out last. We'll put a point into it, though. Yeah, it depends on when you want to gank. But typically we'll put a point into this, level 3 or 4. Up to you. But level 2, what we're going to do is put a point into our Ravage. And Ravage is our E ability. Now, Eve uses her E, which is Ravage. And Evelynn slashes a target enemy 2 times. It's going to go ahead and deal physical damage on each strike. It scales from ability power and bonus attack damage. Evelynn gains attack speed for the next 3 seconds. Helps you clear. We're going to max this out second, or if you're just on somebody's face and you're attacking them, also good there. And good for, hitting towers a little bit quicker too. So that's kind of your just, attack faster, hit them a little bit quick, hard. That's what we do there. And that's your Ravage. That's your E ability. And then finally, your ultimate as Evelynn is your Agony's Embrace. What happens there is you impale the enemies in a target area, which I believe we're going to do now as Renekton gets in the fight in top lane. Here comes the ultimate. Did we already have it down? Did we not use it? Apparently we didn't use it. Whatever. Anyways, we're going to kill Riven because she was kind of overextended. And getting another assist is always helpful. So that's what we're doing there. And we'll take this tower as well because lane push. Let's get the gold for the team. Very helpful. But back to the Agony's Embrace. Once you impale those enemies and you deal that percentage of damage to their current health in magic damage, and then it also slows them for 2 seconds. And the main thing you want to do about this is it's better to use it early than late because it scales off their current health, not maximum health. So if you use this to kill them at the very end, it won't actually deal as much damage because, obviously, current health, not max health. So just make sure you use that pretty much at the beginning-ish of fights for its max damage potential. And that's how that will work. Obviously, we'll put points in that at level 6, 11 at 16. And so what we'll do basically is, you know, points into Q, then into E, then into W. Obviously, don't forget about your ultimate. And those are how that works. We finished off our first item, which is, of course, the jungling item, which is the Spectral Wraith. We're going to go ahead and gank the Riven again because it's just too easy. She has no turret to fall back on. And we can keep pounding these hate spikes as we run at her, which is just going to get us a kill. So we're going to finally pick up a kill. Finally start making more of an impact as this game goes on, too. And, yeah, punish people if they're going to go ahead and be in weird spots. That's fine if she wants to be overextended slightly without a tower and now no pink wards in river. Even if she buys a pink ward and she sees me kill it, then she at least knows I'm coming. And as much as the gold's gone from that, that saved her life, and it saves her team more gold because then I don't get a kill or a gank, and me and Renekton don't split gold and all that fun stuff. So she needs to ward. We're going to go abuse this again in just a second. We're going to gank her again because she's pushing, and I'm Evelynn. It's really hard to kind of counter against Evelynn. You got to buy pinks. It's just how that works. Or be so mobile you can get away. Riven has a little bit of getaway, but not a ton. So we're going to go ahead and do it again. Because, hey, look, Riven, she's still up here. Oh, cool. No pink wards. I checked the bush. And, yeah, just gonna come in here. Bait the fight out with Renekton. Tell him to start first. Luckily, it is the game station. I know who he is. I am playing with him. So, we're gonna go ahead and kill Riven again. And, like, just, you gotta learn from your mistakes. We're just gonna go ahead and keep picking on it and keep picking up easy gold for us. So, if you have easy matchups like that, go ahead and do that, and that's what we're going to do to pick up some kills. We obviously did, like I said, picked up our first item, which is, of course, Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. We also did pick up our boots, which is the Sorcerer's Shoes, for that magic penetration, and obviously for the movement speed from boots. Very helpful there. We'll pick up a kill on Leona, and red buff also very, very helpful when you are ganking with Eve. She just kind of helps everything out, and just helps you get off a million more hate spikes, and really allows you to standard attack them a lot more, which really does help you use your Ravage more. So Eve has a really strong early game. We didn't even get to see the full potential of it in this game just because she's still just strong even if you don't get all those ganks off. But luckily, we did find a lane to capitalize those ganks on, and we took advantage of it in top lane. So just make sure you go and gank lanes. Like, if you don't see pink wards, you can run straight into lanes and attack people. So don't worry about that. Here, I know Riven's there, and she's going to move in, but she doesn't know I'm here again. And it's one of those, hey, let's just get in a fight. Riven's coming in behind the team. And we're going to go ahead and pick up a kill on her again. So it's pick on Riven day. This was right before she was nerfed. So it was worth it because she was still really stupid at level 1. Now she's just playable. Yay. Well, we won't pick on her as much. But, you know, pick on Riven. Why not? She also didn't build boots. Whatever. She just wants damage. That's fine. Anyways, back to Eve. Let's go ahead and keep talking about that. We also then have picked up a Codex, because it's nice. It's going to be building towards another item that we like to try to get fairly early on Eve, although I am kind of taking some damage from this team, and because they're actually all farming not terribly on the enemy team. We're actually all getting pretty much out-farmed. Actually, I'm beating their jungler, and our support's beating theirs, although it's really close. But their lanes are farming really well, so they're actually being able to afford items. Here we're going to actually show off pre-nerf Riven. Watch how much damage I take. I ult. Big shield comes out from her, blocking a lot of my damage. She's going to stun me. She gets low, but she has lifesteal too. Lucky I'll be able to pick up the kill with about a couple hundred life left, but when you start to take that much damage, it does scare you a little bit, so we deviate from the build. So right now, we have actually picked up a Haunting Guise. And a Haunting Guise is not terrible on Eve. I like it. It gives you the magic penetration, and it gives you the health. and ability power as well. All good things. And it will build into a Liandry's Torment eventually. So I like it because it's going to give us a little bit of health. We could just really use a little bit extra. And, you know, more penetration is never a terrible thing. So that's what we're kind of working on with there. We are still going to obviously address the Codex, though, and build that into a very, very magnificent item on Eve. And it's a really easy one to use, too, because since she kind of pops out of nowhere, no one expects to get away from it. So we'll just go ahead and talk about it. We're going to go ahead and build the Deathfire Grasp with it. And what we do, obviously, with the Deathfire is it's going to give us a bunch of ability power. It's going to give us cooldown reduction, too, which is never a terrible thing. And then we'll be able to use that active on it when we run into fights once we finish it off. Obviously, we're going to go help kill Riven as she wants to. She can force the whole rest of the team backwards. We obviously don't want that happening. We can chase a little bit with those spikes. Going to just kind of get... Udyr really wants to kill me, which... You'll notice as Eve, you will be getting focused. It's almost like, hey, look, it's a Teemo. It's a pretty squishy target that does some crazy damage, also sneaks in and out of fights. So people are going to try to come focus you. So one thing you want to notice, or maybe do, and I kind of do it, I don't commit to fights super hard unless I know I'm going to obviously kill someone or really commit a lot of damage to the fight. But you can kind of bait them in and out of the fight by just kind of running in and poking with those hate spikes and then running away. Or you can get one person like Udyr to come chase you for a second and kind of overextend. So you can kind of play this weird role with Eve where it's like, am I coming in? Am I going to ult and then am I going to fully come in if they can see you? Or like, do you just want to bait them into something because they will chase on Eve. A lot of people like, if we murder Eve, you know, that's one less big ultimate with a lot of damage that can happen. And that's just one less thing for us to worry about. So you can kind of bait things out. So usually I'll try to come in on the side of their team if I want to, you know, try to get to a single target. Or, you know, if it's one of those back and forths, you know, maybe Udyr will chase me for a second. But here I'm invisible. Nobody can see me. They might know I'm around or roughly. Here we're going to go ahead and move in. We're just going to come in. I'm going to bust it all off on Riven. She's going for the ADC every time. I'm going to help protect there. Going to keep moving in. They kind of keep moving back for me there. Udyr goes for me again. Could be going for Renekton, who's currently on top of Leona. He's going to die, though, to Heimerdinger. I'll pick up the assist. And I think Renekton, unfortunately, will die to the tower and to Caitlyn, technically. But we did an okay job there fighting. You know, I think it was 2 for 2. Not terrible, but it allows us to kind of keep pushing other lanes. Going to go ahead and steal buffs when we can. If we are not able to push the lane immediately and you have the push advantage on their side of the jungle, go steal their buffs real quick or go secure a dragon or maybe another turret on side lane. Get those lanes pushing. So you just kind of get that split push on when you have the advantage. And before everyone respawns. But we're going to be able to pick up the Deathfire Grasp. Now, like I was saying, that's going to help us out. We'll use the active on it, which deals 15% of the target's maximum health and magic damage, and then applies all magic damage done to them. It will be increased by 20% for the next 4 seconds. So basically, you run in invisibly, you bust out the Deathfire Grasp on them, and then you just blow them up with all your other stuff, and it does all that increased damage. And it makes it pretty easy for Evelynn to find single targets and eliminate them quickly. So you can do it quite well, especially if you're further ahead. It took me a little bit longer to get to it. Obviously, we're 5-0 and 7 now. We are doing better. But if we could have got to it a little bit earlier, I went away from it for a second with the haunting guys. But like I said, it's not bad to get that penetration, that AP, and a little bit of health. But, you know, we're primarily focusing on damage here. She knows I'm around. Me and TGS are talking. He's like, all right, let's go in. So I'm going to Deathfire and just jump in. We'll kill her in a couple more hits, like right after we use that, though, because that amplified damage. Udyr does actually flash for me while I'm in the bush, and I was just going to wait for him, actually, and then I can speed myself up. I will flash once, though, just to, you know, stay safe. And we'll beat a retreat, and we'll get out of here. As the rest of our team slowly pushes down mid, because they overcommitted to chasing a little bit. So we'll be able to go back, though, and buy a few more items in a second, but the Deathfire Grasp is definitely what you want after that Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. Those are kind of your main 2 items. Obviously, get those boots. And then I just finished off the Torment. The Torment's nice, obviously, when you use the ultimate, because it does slow them all, and that percentage damage, and they're all going to burn because of it, because of the Liandry. So I like it. It's good health. And it does put us in a decent position. We're at least over 2,000 health, and we still have a handful of AP, and we have some good damage. And that's just where I like to start with this. And this kind of direction I like to go with the build initially. You can also, if you want just different health, you could go with the Rylai's. It will slow them with all those hate spikes, and then people really will have a hard time. I'm trying to move in here on to Orianna, and I do the Deathfire Grasp, but kind of get forced out by Udyr. He did a good job of kind of peeling for his team. But, you know, we already killed one of them, so we're up on the 5v4 advantage, and we'll just keep slowly pushing all these lanes down because of it. We're also going to start to end up towards the end of the game because they know they will not last forever. So we'll keep talking about items that I like. So typically, what we do after we have these first few items, I try to bust out a Death Cap or a Void Staff next. Very helpful, obviously, for just murdering them even more. if you need a Zoni's Hourglass because, you know, you got to go deep for some of those kills. If you want that stasis, it's very, very helpful. And if you want to drop the Torment, you can do that too and just get, you know, Deathcap Void Staff Zonias. It's a lot of damage that you have on Eve, and you are in there to eliminate those high priority targets. As for runes, though, I go for Hybrid Pen Marks. I go with Armor Seals, Magic Resist, per level Glyphs, and then Movement Speed Quintessences, obviously helpful for ganking and all of that fun stuff. As for the Masteries page, we are finally going to get killed by Riven. She's finally had enough of us, but she gets shut down too. But as for those Masteries, pretty standard stuff. I go with like a, what is it? Is it? I actually think it's a 9-21-0. But all those are actually on my Facebook page if you want to look at those. You could totally do a 21-9-0. But that's going to be the game. They're going to go ahead and surrender. Everything you need to know is in the description. Go ahead and like this video, and I'll see all of you guys in the next build video. I'm going to poke at Kayla. She's getting really low, but we're just going to surprise her with an ultimate and another E real quick. And that's just going to blow her up before she can even react. She honestly should not stick around. And we'll go ahead and pick up Kale.